My prosthetic leg saved me from an STD.
This happened many years ago, from when I, 52 meters, was in high school. I, 16 meter, had already been living with a below-knee amputation from when I was 13. I was not the most popular guy in my high school, but it was well known through my various antics that I was an amputee. My friend Mike, 17M, and I both had a crush on the same girl, Maddie, 16F. Being inexperienced, it took me a while to gain enough courage to ask Maddie out. So I devised a plan to do a double date by asking a mutual friend of hers, Alice, 16F, whom had a crush on Miki and knew of my crush with Maddie. It was foolproof. Miki had the car, and I was bringing someone to keep him occupied so I can try my charms on Maddie. Alice had told Maddie of my crush, but did not let her know that Mike was also crushing on her. Mike and I arrived to Alice's house to pick her and Maddie up, and all of us went out to the mall with the plan to eat at a popular restaurant afterwards. The mall date was not bad, but it did reveal the one kink both Alice and I had in our plan. Mike thought it was a date with him and Maddie, which made Alice feel like the third wheel, as Mike and I had our attention on Maddie. I felt the tension this brought on and tried to make Alice feel more included. At one point, it was just me and Alice alone, and I asked if she was okay. She told me she was fine, as she was used to Maddie, always stealing the attention when it came to boys. Maddie apparently was not used to anyone not giving her all the attention, so when she saw me and Alice talking, decided to ignore Mike and pay attention to me. I was elated. My plan was finally working. By the time we went to the restaurant, Maddie and I were really hitting it off and openly flirting. When the date was over, Maddie asked to sit up front, leaving me and Alice in the back seat. I thought that was odd, but I was really surprised when Maddie asked for Mike to drive her home, leaving me at Alice's house. Maddie had completely ghosted me and started dating Mike. It perplexed me, so one day at school I confronted her. I asked what happened as I thought we were hitting it off so well. She agreed with me, but added that during our dinner she kept rubbing my leg and I ignored her advances. I asked her if she knew I had a prosthetic leg, to which she told me that, of course, everybody knows that I have a prosthetic leg. That's when it dawned on her and she realized that she was rubbing the wrong leg. Maddie then asked if I was doing anything after school that day, to which I did blow her off, as I knew Mike was really into her. A couple weeks later, Mike had informed me that he lost his virginity to her, but also caught an STD, so by sheer luck, my prosthetic leg saved me from an STD. Clarification. We sat across from each other, Alice and Maddie in a booth, Mike and myself in chairs. When I say rubbing, it was with her foot, and to my knowledge, not bare feet.
My aunt told me what happens after death.
My aunt was pronounced clinically dead and came back. What she described haunts me sometimes because I'll never know how true it is until it's my turn. She described staircases rising into a cosmos. She's taken up them and there are several doors with headings in a language she cannot understand. At the door, she meets an avatar who signals to her to touch something like the part of the step where the doormat goes, but there's no doormat, and when you look down, you see the solar systems. That's right, infinitus solar systems. She says what she perceives something like a celestial being meeting the avatar, and the door opens. Before she can touch the step, the Exengi between the Deathbringers is in agreement that it's not her time. She falls back down painfully into her body, waking up. She recalls that there are several doors, each belonging to a different age-old belief. Hindu, her, Christian, heaven and hell, Valhalla, and other doors that are simply from age-old religions. Now mind you, my aunt knows nothing about Norse mythology, so when she said Valhalla, she actually described a door with knots, and I whipped open a photo and she said, "Yay, like that." So I'm guessing it's Valhalla since I showed her Nordic knots. Some doors were broken because Noon worshipped believed anymore. Some were locked. She didn't understand what that meant. Some doors were swallowed by a blackness. Hell was one, so it seemed like where evil belief systems dwell or the versions of hells of other beliefs. She said she faintly heard my uncle's laughter in the heaven door, which she was confused about because he was Hindu. My uncle actually gave his life to Jesus on his deathbed in some of his final breaths, which she didn't know. Anyway, she comes back. Edit. For those of you wondering if the doors lead to the same place, she only mentioned briefly that the celestial that came to the avatar came through another door which she got a glimpse of and looked very different to the one she was facing. Even though she couldn't read the signs, her soul could tell her what was in the doors to her current knowledge. Eggy. She knew the heaven door because she knew of heaven. It seems she didn't know the Valhalla door because she didn't have a concept of Valhalla, but she could recall the design of some. The conclusion to her experience was that when we die, we go according to our beliefs. I'm Christian and my life partner is atheist. I cry when I think that I could have 2 lifetimes with him, but it will possibly be only 1 lifetime. It made me realize the finiteness of smiles, laughs, and his cute way of saying, "Huh?" after I've said something silly. He's my soulmate in this lifetime, so whenever I remember this, I feel very sad for a moment because 1 lifetime with him is not enough. At the end of the day, my aunt could be right or wrong. Christians could be right or wrong. Anyone could be right. We could all be wrong. But how sad is it that one of us could be right and our loved ones? We may only have them in this lifetime. Stop fighting about something we won't know till it's genuinely too late. Recognize that it's 1 lifetime you're guaranteed, the length of which varies for each of us. Just remember 1 lifetime with the people you love is simply not enough. Spend your moments in love, gentle honesty, empathy, and encouragement. To those of you mentioning DMT's effect for near-death experiences, I don't deny science. Reminder, I said she was clinically dead, and the whole point was that science, the universe, and whatever can be our speculation point for what happens after death. But the truth is, none of us for a certainty know. So cherish your loved ones. The only fact here is that you have this lifetime with them, and it's a short lifetime with varying end dates. Good luck in 2024. More love.
My teacher told the class that we are the reason for his depression.
For background information, this is a junior high school honors chemistry class. It all started when we first read the classroom expectations. He seemed to have stricter rules than most of the other teachers, such as not being allowed to knock on the door if it is shut and we are late. He would also send kids out of class often and didn't really appreciate it when kids would mess up. He had a very bland way of teaching, assigning us like 5 Google forms every day with the same format. He would occasionally do labs or a slideshow presentation, but that was very rare. I'm going to leave many personal details about him out to keep this anonymous. But one thing I do think worth mentioning is that most of his teaching career took place in Africa. This story takes place in the US. He has a much darker skin tone than most of the teachers I have had and seems to struggle a little more with speaking the English language. Anyways, our class was a typical class, fooling around in class and joking around. He was not happy about this and would tell us that we can't disrespecting him because of the way he looks or speaks. Apparently, he went to other teachers and they all said that we were very well behaved. So he would lecture the class about how we only disrespect him and not any of the other teachers. I've heard from a couple students that apparently he said something along the lines of the class being racists under the influence of Trump. I've always been a fairly good student and I seem to be rather on his better side, but I have heard from many other students who weren't on his better side who had said that they had absolutely no intentions of coming off as discriminating against him based on his appearance or the way he speaks. And they all seem to take this topic very seriously. And I think that I can very safely say that they were being truthful when they said that they did not mean to come off as this in any way. Anyways, many of the students and parents of the students emailed the school about his teaching style and how we struggle with it a lot, because he wasn't really doing anything to change it. He didn't do anything about this until the last day before November break. He told us that people were emailing the school and he was getting in trouble for his teaching. He seemed incredibly disappointed, but he asked us what he could do to improve his teaching, which I think is great. I definitely have to give him credit for that. He also said that he was disappointed that people sent complaints to the office instead of asking him questions. He also went on to tell the class that he felt threatened by the students and how if he screwed up even once, he would get tons of complaints from the parents. Anyways, we got back from break, and he had us discuss our breaks for a couple minutes, which was definitely new for the class. After we discussed our breaks, he asked us to share our breaks with the whole class, and then afterwards he asked us if we all wanted to hear how his break was. Everyone said yes very enthusiastically, and he responded with horrible. Everyone asked why, and he responded with depressed. Everyone asked why, and he went on to say how right before break, he was getting tons of complaints about his teaching and how he might lose his job as a teacher and how he needs to have this job to get money to provide for his family and how he needs to decide between putting up with the crap we were putting him through in order to get money to provide for his family or just quitting his job as a teacher, and continued to go on about how us, the students, were the reason he was so depressed. That class period was the last that we have ever seen him. At first, it seemed to be him absent for a week or two, and he emailed us saying that he was out due to health reasons and would be back in January. However, my class was told by the sub that they were looking for a more long-term sub for the class. Emails ended up getting sent to parents saying that the teacher was not going to be back for the rest of the school year. I have to say that I think that many of the things he did or said were not okay, but I also can't help but feel bad for him because of all the hate he received. I truly did not hate him as a teacher or person, but I did struggle a lot with his teaching style. However, I also do not think that any of the students deserved to hear the things he said to them. I have to be honest, there was a lot he did wrong, but I still care about him. I might be emailing him soon just to check up on him, because I do think he deserves to know that at least one of his students cares about how he is doing. Edit. I think there was one thing that was misunderstood about this post. I'm in my junior year of high school, 11th grade. I'm not a junior high student. That's an error on my part.
Thank you for watching Reddit Stories. Please feel free to like and subscribe. May you all have a blessed day, and may you all achieve your dreams and goals in 2024.